third Monday in November of each year at the hour of 7:00 p.m. at the offices of the city of Cupertino is hereby appointed as the time and place for the regular meeting of this board pursuant to Article 2, Section 6 of the bylaws of the corporation. So is that like the law? Like we can't start till 7?
Hi.
Are we doing something wrong if we start early?
I think since that was from 86 and this has been published most recently, we should have noticed it for 7:00. But probably the public is expecting a 6:45 start since.
Supposed to, we have a ancient resolution from 87 that we start at 7. No rush.
I should have told you that at 7.
So should we wait till 7?
I honestly don't think that we are going to be violating anything or taking any legal risk by starting at 6:45. In fact, that's what we noticed it for. So if somebody in the public thought it should be 7 and noticed and brought that up before tonight, maybe we would have amended it, but nobody has objected. So I think we're good to go at 6:45.
Okay. So let's call the what is the name of the meeting? Public Facility Corporation. Oh, Cupertino Public Facilities Corporation meeting to order. So roll call, please.
Corporation member Fruin,
Here.
Corporation member Mohan,
Yeah.
Corporation member Wong,
Here.
Vice President Moore,
Here,
President Chow.
Here. So we don't have any postponements and orders of the day.
No postponements, President.
Oral communications.
Madam President, I currently have no request to speak under oral communications.
Okay, great. Now we have one consent agenda item, which is the minutes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Now I see one hand raised.
Oh,
Okay.
actually,
Yes, from San Rao.
Okay.
Okay. And just a reminder, this portion of the meeting is reserved for persons wishing to address the Public Facilities Corporation on any matter within the jurisdiction of the corporation and not on the agenda for discussion. The total time for oral communications will ordinarily be limited to 1 hour. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes. So I will time the speakers and I will let you know when your time has elapsed. Welcome, Sam.
Yes, good evening. I asked the city clerk if this period was reserved for only comments on the bond of the Public Facilities Corporation. Is that the case?
I'm sorry, could you repeat your question?
My question was whether the comments could be on the city's jurisdiction or only on the Public Facilities Corporation jurisdiction.
This is on the jurisdiction of the Public Facilities Corporation.
Okay, in that case, I do have some comments. I noticed that the city is seeking exemption on the 990T, and we do have some experience as commercial investors in real estate on the 990T. Individuals actually are required to file the 990T in the case of individuals that have solo 401ks if the total assets are more than 250K. However, in the case of cities and public agencies, the 990T does provide for various exemptions. If the body is acting as a government entity, you do have some exemptions that you can consider where you are not required to file the 990T. I'm not sure under what conditions you've been informed that the 990T exemption is not provided for the city, but it feels like you're getting advice that at the minimum should be put out there for the public to review, because there are individuals that actually file 990T and have experience with this. And so I'd be interested in seeing what it is that is causing the city to not have the tax exemption being restored. I understand that having not filed for a few years, the city was not in good standing. But now that that has been addressed, I'd like to understand either through this discussion or through an info memo or any other means, what advice you're getting that precludes the city from getting its tax exemption. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Mayor, no addition, or sorry, Madam President, no additional requests to speak.
It's like play acting.
It's like this TV show.
It's like.
Film us on that.
Limelight now.
Okay, so thank you. So can we quickly answer the public comment? Do we have a short answer? If not, that's
Try to response.
yes, about the 99 exemption for 990.
What was being referenced is the Form 990T. That is not the form the corporation needs to file. That's either the Form 990 or the 990EZ. And those are require an exemption granted by the IRS, which are three different types of forms. So in this case, the city is still on the hook of filing the Form 990 or 990EZ.
Oh,
And that is per the IRS's judgment that was provided late last year.
okay, thank you. It's good to know. Okay, so let's move to the consent agenda item.
Through the president, I move to approve the November 18th, 2024 CPFC meeting minutes.
Second. Should probably take public comment on it.
Oh, yeah. So any public comment?
I see no request to speak on the consent calendar.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Corporation Member Fruin,
Aye.
Corporation Member Mohan,
Aye.
Corporation Member Wong,
Abstain.
Vice President Moore,
Aye.
President Chow.
Aye.
The motion carries with Wong abstaining.
Okay, so the next and second item. The management report. So city manager, there is not another title of sales.
Well, technically, she's the chief
so
financial,
CEO,
chief executive
Good
officer.
to see you.
Chief executive
Good to
officer.
see you.
Yeah.
Chief executive officer.
Yes, Madam President.
Oh,
Is there a report?
There is a report.
interim chief executive officer. Because on record, it's.
That's right.
Okay.
There is a report, Madam President, that's provided as part of the agenda packet. And we're happy to take any questions if you have.
Do we have a staff report and then we do public comment?
Well, I can summarize what was included in the management report. In short, there hasn't been any substantive changes for the corporation since last November. The city or the corporation was granted the tax exemption status in July of 2024. The IRS did inform the city or the corporation that they will have to continue to file Form 990. There has been, in addition to that, we have internally had some discussions on how the form should be completed. So we've recontracted with Stradling, who is the city's contractor who assisted us with reinstating the corporation's tax exemption status. As of date, we have spent 10,500 with them. And so we are currently in discussions on how the form should be completed. In addition to that, there were some discussion or some questions relating to the debt issuance or the refinancing, specifically how the coupon rate may have increased, did increase from 3% to 4%. However, what's not being considered is the use of the reserve and a premium paid by the lender which decreased the true interest cost from 2.8% down to just over 8% or 0.8% as the total true interest cost. So the city did receive a net savings of $3.1 million over the course of the 10 years. In addition to that, there were some questions relating to the designation of the treasurer of the corporation, and within the bylaws, Article 3, Section 2 explicitly states that the city's director of finance or director of admin services is the city's treasurer. With that, we are available for any questions.
Okay. Anyone has question or do public comment, any question? Public comment first, okay, any public comment?
No request to speak, Madam President.
Okay. Then bring it back, anyone has questions on the report? Councilman Mohan and then Vice Mayor.
Jonathan, in your staff report, you said you've been working with the bond council to see why we are not able to get the filing exemption, while other cities have received them. Is there, do you have some idea of what the reason is?
Yes, so from my understanding, over the years, other cities, when they submitted the tax exemption request, they were granted. There was a change in the administration at some point at the IRS where they did not believe that the exemption should be granted. And since then, all new requests for filing exemption have not been granted. And so as part of the the discussion as to how the Form 990 should be completed, we've also asked them to look into other options and how we could become filing exempt. So
So when you say filing requirements, it's just filling out the,
completing the form and submitting it to the IRS. And that's the failure of 3 consecutive years would cause the city or the corporation to lose its tax exemption status. And that is something that Stradling was able to reinstate for the city and for the corporation.
and then one of the questions a resident asked was the lender, I'm assuming it's the bond council, held back a certain fee for from the savings. So maybe the savings represented doesn't tell the whole picture.
I'm sorry, can you?
That, there was something about a fee that the lender received, a premium.
Oh, so the premium. So yeah, thank you. So the easiest way to explain this is when you have let's say you go out to get a mortgage on your home, there are points that you would pay in order to decrease the interest rate. Kind of think of it the other way around. Now, for a lender, they want to achieve a certain interest rate or a coupon rate. In this case, they wanted 4%. The market, let's say, typically at that time was 1%. So in order for them to get that 4%, they would have to pay a sum of money, and that is this premium, which was about 3.8 million. They paid that directly to the city, which decreased the principal from 2.7 down to 22.01 million, in combination with the reserve that the city had included in the trust. If you want, I can provide you an example, kind of a very simple example. I can
It's
include
really
in the thing.
helpful if you want to look at.
Okay. Moment. So let's say the loan is for $1,000. We're gonna currently not look at the premium. We'll see that at the post refinancing. The principal is $1,000 at a coupon rate of 3%. An annual interest rate is $30 or 3%, and then cost is $30. Let's say the duration is for 10 years. Total cost would be $300. Now let's assume we refinance it. Like I said, the interest rates at the time is 1%, but the lender wants 4%. They're willing to pay an additional $200 now so they can achieve that $400 at that 4%. What does that do to interest rate? So the coupon interest that the city's paying is $32. It is more than the annual interest for the 10 years. However, the true interest cost factors in the $200 that the city received from the lender. So in total, the city is paying $120 in total interest versus the $300 it would have paid. So there's a savings of $180. That is the most fundamental way I can kind of explain what happened with our 2020 COP. There's a couple other factors in there, but in a sense, this is essentially what happened with the city, what they did, the refinance of the COP.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Ms. Miller.
I thought the city was at 27 million, that it was still owing on the previous. Okay, and that the city put in 5 million. And then the principal for the 2020 COPs became 22 million.
The city did not put in 5 million.
Okay.
That's the misconception. So there's a few other components, but so the principal started off at 27. There was a premium. This premium was paid by the lender. That's 3.9 million. What is not included here is if there was a reserve. The reserve was about 1.6 million. This was held in a trust as part of the city did not have access to the 1.6 as part of the 2012 COP. And so part of that, it's essentially a savings that's held, and it's in case the city actually defaults or that the loan can pull from. Right? And so kind of again following the 3% versus 4%, you're paying an annual cost of $800,000 versus this 881 for the post for over the course of the 10 years. Factoring in the reserve or the premium, you come about $3.1 million in savings. Again, this is very simple. There's a few other factors that kind of play in this, present value and whatnot. I could also show you the cash flow of what that would have looked like. This is a more accurate depiction of how the city saved its money. So it's comparing the debt service, the annual payments the city would have paid in its 2012 COP versus its 2020 COP. There's an annual savings of actual cash outflow of about $500,000 each year. And so if you factor that in present value, it's 4.7 million. Factoring in the 1.6 in the reserve, we get to 3.133 in total savings the city had.
Okay, but there was a time in here where they would you were making more money having this debt because the interest rate, you could have been making 5%. So you could have made more on your money than having this out
You
there.
didn't beat your hurdle rate, was the question.
I'm not sure I'm understanding that question, because this money wasn't in our possession. This is money that we're paying back, and the money that we held,
Right.
the 1.6, was locked away in the debt service. We could not access it as part of the 2012 certificates of participation.
You're following what I'm saying, because there was the question of arbitrage interest, because you were making more than you were making more on the outside in this time frame with this money being
Well,
issued.
our interest rates were closer, and this is 2020, so the interest rates were like at 1 or below. They hadn't
Yeah.
started coming up yet.
At that time, right, but then you got to a time where it was above that, and
But we wouldn't have known that in 2020 when we refinanced. We would have been betting against the market.
yeah. Also, just to fill in a little bit of information, it used to be a member, somebody who was in the finance department, that was filing the Form 990s, and they would have information about the actual QSIP numbers. They had information about what was actually on the Emma site in their 990s. And then they stopped filing in 2014. So in around 2017, 2018, they ended up on the auto revocation list because of like 3 years of a non-filer. And when I onboarded, I was not informed that I was a director of the Cupertino Public Facilities Corporation. It was only through running into the COP filing that I kind of discovered, it's like, okay, that we're all directors. And then we have obligations in the state of California because it's a corporation to hold an annual meeting. And then after, and when we get to this part in the agenda, we need to schedule another meeting to vote on these officers, okay? Because I could not find in the bylaws anything talking about as chief executive officer. I didn't see that title. I see that we have the statement of information that was filed with someone saying that they're I think it was the city manager was written down as being the chief executive officer, but that wasn't appointed by the city council. And I do believe that our city clerk from the old resolution is I think you're our secretary.
Secretary, yes.
Yeah, so we did, an old resolution sets you as the president, the vice mayors, the vice, and then the secretary. It's unclear to me, because they used the expression, finance director, and we've always had a finance manager. So the bylaws say finance manager in general, finance director, but in general, the finance manager is considered the top person in the finance department, if you will. So we encounter that a few times over. Looking at some old emails that I had, I found an informational memo from December 6, 2023. The informational memos and the records only go back to 2024. This memo is 5 pages long, and I think that we should all be given this again. And it has multiple attachments, A through K. It's got the articles of incorporation, bylaws, the resolution appointing the time and the meeting place that I mentioned at the start of this, financial transactions report, and it goes on. It was a really great memo, but it's not in the record, and I don't have all these attachments in my files online. So, and then there was another follow-on memorandum that happened as well. And that one was in 2024, so I think it is online. It was just like 2 questions that were answered. So the bylaws, also I appreciate Rhoda Fry sending in her email. She had this statement of information there, and it was signed off on Richard Wong, and I do not know who that is.
That's my senior accountant.
Okay, okay. So, well, I don't know who should be signing off on this. If it, you know what I'm saying? Okay, and then we were supposed to be doing these filings regularly, and those also lapsed a few times. So I've been looking at information from the state treasurer, and it looked to me more like we needed to file the IRS form 8038G for the certificates of participation. You can also see these filings online at the EMMA website, EMMA, Securities and Exchange Commission, because they are, for all intents and purposes, bonds. And then I see, when I went to the EMMA website, I saw that they were, UFI was adding more information that had been missing over the years, which was good. So I don't think, we have a fiduciary duty, which we should probably also be informed about. for this corporation. And we need to ensure that we are having the correct documents filed. And I don't think that we've spoken enough about what our duties actually are here. And I think we need to look into this to make sure that we are filing the right forms and we are doing those filings on time. And I don't feel like it should be me doing this research as well. I think that we should be having more support
So-
from a legal, a bond expert.
Do we have a city webpage on this public facilities corporation? Where we can just put all the info memo there, the bylaw there, then whoever. Then we can be prepared before the meeting. Let's read. This is what I'm supposed to do.
I'm unaware of a location in our website that includes these memos, but we can certainly work towards creating a new
But if
section
you
within the
maybe under
finance
the
department.
finance, you have a great page, the finance page maybe there.
We can do that, and we can also send the memos that were referenced earlier to the board for review.
Should just add it to that page too. for
Yeah,
reference.
just add to the page, then we all the information there. So what were the other questions mentioned? First is the statement of information.
I can provide a bit more information on that.
So
Uh,
do we need to update it?
I
Whenever we switch, we have a new city clerk, new city manager, or new finance director. Do we need to update? So we should update. We should have updated them.
So I spoke with the secretary, so it hasn't been the city's practice to update it. We have been maintaining its biannual reporting requirement. However, when there has been a change in officers, there hasn't been any updates. I did speak with someone at the office state. They informed me it is not a requirement, but it wouldn't hurt. So to maintain transparency, we will adopt that practice when there is a change in the officers, whether that is the CEO, the secretary, or the treasurer, will update it. And so we updated today to reflect the new CEOs.
So it's not really legally required, then best practice has been like maybe updating it every 6 months.
Our practice has been or every 2 years,
Every 2 years.
Correct.
That has been our practice.
and that is the reporting requirement.
Oh, that the requirement is every 2 years.
Correct.
So, but it's suggested best practice is update as soon as it's changed for
Correct.
transparency.
And so
But
we've
that's not
adopted,
legally required, right?
according to the
That's
the representative I spoke at the office today, they said that it's not a requirement, however, it is best practice and
Okay.
promotes transparency.
Thank you. That's good to know. So the bylaw does that state for the secretary will be the city clerk, it's by position, right?
Last I read, there's a section, I believe it's section 3 of the bylaws that discusses the officers, and it does state that the board will assign or who the CEO or the officers would be, with the exception of the treasurer, who is the director of finance. And so there's also, in addition to those 3 positions, they could also sign an assistant treasurer and an assistant secretary.
So the CEO and the secretary should be assigned by the board.
From that
So
one
there we
section
go.
that I read
So
earlier,
that means we should have adopted some reason.
I would have
Have
to,
we done that before?
I'll have to look into it. I am unsure.
Or we can we modify the bylaw to just say city clerk is always the secretary and the city manager is the CEO, so we don't have to keep.
I'm looking at our attorney for that one.
But then,
Change the bylaw, was the question.
yes,
You can change the bylaws.
But then that means whenever you have a new person in that position, you have to update the form.
We would have to update the statement of information.
Yeah.
Correct.
The statement, so which one is better? I don't know. Like I said, we'll have the CEO can figure it out.
Pardon?
Yeah.
For the finance manager, are you finding that there is a section that's referring to the CEO?
Okay, there is a section discussing the president, the treasurer, the secretary, and there was another section, and I think it was an amendment that referenced the CEO, which we've historically had the city manager approve that. There is another section that it does state that the president cannot be the treasurer or the secretary, that there has to be a segregation of duties there. So I would have to do a bit more research and I'll get back to you on that one.
Because I think it was something where personally, I think when they looked at the SOI, that practice is to put a CEO on there and just, fill out these forms and turn them in, rather than having that explicitly here. So that the resolution from, oh goodness, there was a resolution which set up the president, the vice president, and the secretary. But I couldn't find that information out about showing a CEO, and that's why I was saying it's like this is it's some new title that showed up. And then perhaps something as simple as amending the bylaws could be done to include that. So I still I'm personally not satisfied with the Form 8038G issue, and because I'm seeing very directly information reporting requirements. The issuer is required to file with the IRS not later than the 15th day of the second calendar. This is from CDIAC. Second calendar month after the close of the calendar quarter in which the bond is issued, a statement containing certain specified information regarding bond issuance for governmental bonds, which we are. The issuer files a Form 8038G, and then we go on. So I think if we're going to be doing this properly, I'm saying it needs to be the 8038G. But the IRS may be wanting you to do the 990, but that's, we do 990s for soccer leagues and stuff, and not issuing 20 some odd million in bonds. That seems like it's a different, just from common sense, it seems different. Yeah, and I personally think we need to schedule another meeting, hear more from our, I guess it would be bond counsel, about the proper tax filings to make sure that we are doing this properly. And personally, I'd like to hear some information about our fiduciary duty. What does that actually mean? And who's providing that financial oversight of this organization? Yeah, so, and I do really appreciate the information about the refinancing. That's stuck out as a question. There was another question about, did the properties kind of change? And it seemed like the properties which were in, that maybe they're just allowed to do this and that is perfectly fine, but it seemed like the properties, because it's a lease back agreement that you're doing with your own properties so that you can go issue all this debt. But sometimes those properties aren't the same in the ACFR from year to year. And it's, that's just a side question. I would expect they're allowed to do that but maybe not.
So the lease agreement for the 2020 COP references City Hall, Community Hall, and the acreage around it. So between Rodriguez and Victoria here, and Quinlan Center, and I think the 7 acres that surround that area. And so those two are explicitly stated. Now, when it's refinanced, they could include or drop property off as to appease or to include in that lease agreement. But in this case, it's just those two properties that are referenced.
Okay. Okay, so collecting some of these things for a future meeting that we might want to amend the bylaws addressing the CEO issue, clarify who's going to sign the statement of information, make sure that it have a good reason why it shouldn't be an 8038G and that why a 990 could be done. Looking at the 8038, it's got like spots to put the CUSIP numbers. It's like it's designed for this. So it kind of logically seems more appropriate. And then I would want us to have all the information that was attached to at one time to that informational memo from December 6, 2023. And I like the idea of having, there is a page, if you go to public records, it's under city council, you can find the Cupertino Public Facilities Corporation, but it doesn't seem to have like everything there. So that would help. I think if there's one more item here, yeah, it was the issue about what is our fiduciary duty? Because reading all this, it kind of gave me the sense that we're all responsible. And I don't get that. I don't feel that way when we're having a city council meeting. But here I feel personally exposed by the kind of the lack of having the city manager isn't in charge of this. We're really running the show, and that makes you the boss. So I'd like to know more about that with one of these. And I suppose lastly, is this ever something that we would want to issue again as interest rates go down? Because it seems like it's a pretty convenient way to raise a lot of funds.
Oh, when we met last year, we looked into the possibility of calling these bonds, and unfortunately, the corporation does not have that option. So the corporation would have to see these bonds to the end, which would be 2030.
Oh. So how are the previous ones? Because we've been doing this since 1987.
The previous ones were callable.
So why do we do this?
Because this one has kind of gets back to the large premium that was paid and to acquire that 4% coupon rate. And if you look at just the cash flow, it made sense, perfect sense for the city to move forward with this. It's saving $3 million, just north of $3 million over the course of the 10 years. And so that was the city's best option, saving about $500,000 each year. And so in this situation, I don't think the city could have done anything different. A lot of other agencies refinance their debt at a lower rate. Even today, I don't think they're much higher than they were then. And it's going to be very difficult to see these interest rates that low anytime soon. I mean, and that's kind of a good thing. If we ever get to that point, that there's probably something going on with the economy that's not going to be necessarily favorable for the city.
So you would say that we probably won't be issuing COPs for years?
There's a highly unlikely. And by that, I mean, we would need to have property and as part of that lease agreement. And at this point, the city does not have, if you would like to put up or as a lease revenue, the Blackberry Farm, but that's just one aspect. We also need to show that the city is economically situated or just situated to be able to repay the debt, right? So we need to show a 10-year, 15-year forecast showing us that we have positive cash flow in it. So this is a different conversation, but at this current state, we do not have that.
We can't issue bonds until we show 10 years of flat or at least growth. Sorry.
Okay,
Just one quick question. I was trying to figure out how we get the present value at 0.637.
That's what was provided.
That's the actual. It was provided by the bond issuance.
Correct.
Got it. Just wanted to make sure that came from. Thank you.
There, it's a real shame. It was like Palo Alto, they needed a new police station. So they've got over 100,000, 100 million, sorry, 100 million in COPs. It's not my favorite thing at all because you don't have to go out for a 2/3 vote. But
So I have a question. Rhoda asked, but I wasn't sure why she asked about the list of properties in ACFR. Is is that related to this?
Within the annual comprehensive financial report, we do state that there are properties that are included. And it references the lease documents, within those lease, it doesn't explicitly state what pieces of property are included. It just references the lease agreement. And within the lease agreement, it states City Hall, Community Hall, and Quinlan Center.
The lease agreement for,
The COP.
why are we leasing? We own the building. Think I'm confused.
Kind of getting back to, I'm not the best to try to explain this, but I'll try my best. In a sense, the city has put up the revenue it would generate from City Hall and the Quinlan Center as essentially collateral
Oh,
to pay for the bond,
that's considered a lease.
lease revenue bond.
they call it lease back. So, yeah.
Oh,
It
okay.
would, maybe in the future, if this could be described for us, because there's other agencies that are doing this, like Valley Water is issuing these, there's like a collective, we have our own Cupertino Public Facilities Corporation, but there's also a collective one that's in the state that if your city didn't form that corporation, you could use this other entity out there. It's very interesting.
So Rhoda says the property list is inconsistent. What is that the issue? What's inconsistent?
That's the question. I don't see what she's referencing because we do not specifically state within the aquifer or in the budget what pieces of property are being leased. We just reference the lease agreement. I guess the inconsistency is that we're not consistent in saying that there is property or what property is being referenced. We just review the lease agreement. Now, if it's the desire of the city council for us to include these specific properties within the aquifer or the budget, we can certainly make those changes. It's just.
Don't think we need to, just if there is some inconsistency, we should clean that up. If not, that's
At this
fine.
time, I don't think there's one.
Maybe we need to ask her to provide more information. Okay, so looks like we are done with this item, but we might have some future agenda items too. And so I think we have some direction that I don't think we need a motion. We want to get past the info memos and we want to create a website or page for the corporation. So we can place all the information in the same place. And so that we don't need, that's another future agenda item, but do we have cooperation member reports? Any more comment on this item? So
Regarding future agenda items,
wait, any more item on the
Oh.
item 2? Any more comment on item 2?
No, I'm just gonna say, I
Yeah.
don't think we've actually taken public comment if somebody wanted to make it.
Oh.
Did
For
I
item
believe
two?
we did.
We did. No?
Well, we
Yeah,
took, we
I
took
think
public
said-
comment on the oral communications and on
I did,
consent calendar.
I think I did ask, do we want to hear public comment first, or we was ask question? I think
Okay.
everyone said that's to public comment first.
And there were no
As long as we
speakers.
feel like
yeah.
we've done it,
I think we did that, yeah.
No,
Okay, thank you for the reminder. So any other comment on item 2?
I think it's really important for us to be able to figure out like how to structurally fix our deficit. Otherwise, we can't issue the things that you're looking at. And that should be the takeaway message from here.
Yeah. So that's important. I think we should have some discussion starting from January again, yeah. We can wait until budget time. Okay, so no more comment on this, corporation member reports, nothing. And then now we go to future agenda items. So I tracked, we would like to update the bylaw to designate CEO and likely secretary also. That's, yeah. So we want to clarify the Form AT38G requirement, or is it Form 990? And hopefully we will hear directly from the bond council on this item. Is that correct? And then the third one is we would like to have a summary of our judiciary city kind of a training for the board members. Yeah. And then another one is we would like to clarify who should sign the statement of information. That's the fourth item I jotted down, yeah.
One more, so during the time period, I'd like an answer to this one. During the time period when our tax exempt status had lapsed, and I'm not sure how long that was, but I know that someone started filing again, the 990s, you got reinstated, but there were X many years where it was not. So, and you probably need that bond attorney to explain this, but what I was reading is that if you don't have tax exempt status and these bonds are sitting out there, there is potential that you have individuals who are claiming their interest is tax exempt when we didn't issue a tax exempt bond. And that's a very scary proposition. So I'd like to hear the attorney on this matter to answer if we have some issue during those lapsed years. And then probably we should be implementing, just thought of it, something so that this doesn't happen again. Because it was also the same, the person who used to file was the person who, the embezzlement. So I think they didn't hand off the responsibility very well. To put it mildly.
So Vice President, you're basically saying that bonds were issued and we didn't have tax exempt status, and how is the indemnification for those individuals?
It was a really great question. In 2020, they reissued it. It's like, who did their
Yeah, how do they
fiduciary
get
due
tax?
diligence?
How do they get tax exempt status on that?
Because they had already lost it. So I think that's a question
They lost it, but they got it back.
But it's not retroactive.
after.
It's not retroactive.
Right.
So you could have a lapse of 3 years where you and I filed that we had taxes up on the bond, but we really didn't. And so who paid the taxes? It opens us up.
Yeah, so when it was reissued in 2020, we had already been auto revoked in 2017 or 18. It already, so nobody looked at the IRS site to notice that we had been revoked off of the tax exempt status at the IRS main website. And then they issued in 2020, so that we got revoked, they issued the new set. Somebody should have just simply asked the question and then moved on.
This discussion, this question was brought up to bond counsel, and they said that the bond should not have been affected. And that
Okay.
essentially the reinstatement was retroactive.
It is.
According to the thing. So I'll have them go back and positively confirm
Yeah,
that this is the case.
Yeah.
And I'll
Yes,
include that on our
please.
next report.
Have
Did
that
they-
in the memo, yeah, written memo.
So I'll
They
include that.
right, I remember this came up last year as well, and the explanation was because there was no activity at all.
But
It's good to
in
know,
the 3 years.
May I ask,
So any-
did they issue a written memo or documentation back then on that point that we might be able to find?
They did not, however, we did receive the judgment by the IRS who reinstated the tax exempt status. And from the conversation we had with Stradling is that it should not have affected the bonds or the bond holders.
Do we have that in writing?
That's
I'll
great,
confirm.
yeah,
I'll have
if
a
we
copy.
can. get
Looks like it's
that in
IRS Form
writing.
1024.
Is that would you like us to issue an info memo with all of that information?
I think we just need that in writing for the next meeting.
Just for the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. If it's helpful, we can add it on
And
the
then
new
the
page.
judgment, including the judgment from the IRS. What that means. Okay.
To the mayor,
Yeah.
president, when, if we change positions, is it automatic? Who holds these positions, or do we need to have an election? Or, I did see this document saying that the mayor is president, the vice president is the vice mayor, and like that. I just want to make sure that that old resolution is still active and.
Yep, to our understanding, there's a memo that says already lays out who's the president and vice
Yeah,
president based
so
on
we
the
don't need
offices
the
that you
election.
hold.
This old resolution, yeah.
Joking, only applies if you start at 7 p.m.
Good point.
Or just remove the starting time so we can start the tea time.
While we're at it, I'll fix that one too.
Why don't we just
Did you wanna
remove the
add
starting time?
That's a good idea.
Not a
That
bad
should, would you add that to the future agenda items
And
also?
what,
That adjust the starting time.
or remove the starting time requirement, okay. Update the bylaw.
By 7 p.m., but I figure who was mayor.
Were you thinking that we would adjust it to 6:45 or just
No,
remove
just-
one?
Just don't say the
Anytime. Yeah,
time,
don't say the time.
Just
Yeah.
poll council.
so it can be any time.
Does it need, must it be the third Monday? of
Yeah, that
November?
was my question. Could
Yeah.
it be added on
Do we
to,
have to
We
make
don't
it
wanna
not
do-
so restrictive?
could it be
What
added on to
Thursday
the
of
Tuesday agenda?
I asked that question earlier.
Why does-
I would- because of the
Couldn't be
bylaws.
Because of the bylaws.
But I have seen other agencies
change
just
the
tack it
bylaw.
on the back of their regular council.
make it
meeting.
Yeah,
November
so we
31st.
don't have to. What does the bylaw currently say?
On the third Monday of November.
Third Monday of November, so we can remove the third Monday requirement too, right?
Sorry, what did?
Maybe
you
just
decide?
meet in November.
Do we still want to say November? We do want to say.
Why is it November? Is that our
Why is
fiscal
it
year?
November?
November.
Yeah,
Is
I
it
was
just a
gonna say,
bond
could we
requirement?
put it in June to
Yeah,
marry
why
it to the
November?
budget process?
That would be
Yeah, good
nice,
point. Yeah, why is it November?
you know? Is there anything that
As
was
Should we
well, the
remove
filing
that
deadline for the
requirement
nine
too?
ninety is November 15th of each year. I don't know if that had anything to do with it,
Oh.
or when the corporation may have been chose this specific month because that's when it was first
Formed.
formed.
In the
And so that
eighties.
just made sense.
When's
for
the
them.
filing deadline?
November, well, typically November 15th, if it lands on a weekend, it gets pushed on to the Monday following, so 990 was today. We did file an extension, and that was out in the mail today, that's 8838, I believe. And we'll, once we have this resolved with the
What
Form
timing is
990.
it need to
So we
file?
should have met earlier, if November is the deadline, shouldn't we meet?
That-
before
That's just a
November?
filing deadline. It's, and actually, I'm gonna be thinking that because we report our transactions to the state. And this is where the conflict of how it should be reported is we should report to the state first. And whatever we report in the 990s should follow that reporting. So the two mirror each other. At this point, we haven't closed out our books with our ACBR, and therefore we're putting estimates. And so for that reason, I would like to be filing extensions every year until we've closed our books, at which point I will then submit the Form 990 or possibly the 8038 G if that is another filing requirement.
So November is
So-
actually not.
So when is a better time to do the meeting? It seems we are, this should be, we should discuss this when this.
While we're at
is
it.
on the agenda. The bylaw. So maybe we just discuss this when we discuss how we want to update the bylaw at that time. Maybe you can suggest an appropriate month.
But do we have to wait till next November to have this
No, we
conversation?
can call it right now. So do we want to check who has time for the second meeting that we can resolve this issue?
You have a month?
What month are you guys starting?
December 15th?
We already have to meet on the 16th. You want to just,
Oh,
is that a long
Yeah.
meeting? Yeah.
oh, so the second one would, it can be on me. Oh, it could be already long, yeah.
But it still makes sense to
Mhm.
meet on one day as opposed to do
Yeah.
2 days.
But I think we
Do the 15th.
often have.
We have orientation on Friday.
Hanukkah.
Guys wanna hang around after
Friday, the,
12?
Or the 8th, is that already?
Friday the
Or
12th.
January?
Huh?
Does that make sense just to do it in January?
What are you
The
doing?
15th didn't work for anyone?
I'm in
Books.
Taiwan, but I'll take the meeting.
You can be Zoom.
To
Yeah.
teleconference.
We're following Brown Act.
So you want to get it done in December?
I'm in Taiwan, so I think I'll take the.
We have to get it done in December.
You do not need to get it done in December.
So, we want to do it when
Preferably
it's still
January,
fresh.
so that it'll give us an opportunity to complete the reporting and have enough time to speak with our bond counsel to compile all this information for you.
So January might be better.
January.
It doesn't have to be a Monday, right? Okay, so I'm sure.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So January 20th is a council meeting.
Uh,
Um,
The week of the 12th through 16th.
Madam President, in the past, we have addended this meeting to the end of a council meeting.
Oh,
yeah,
that works too.
but I think our council meeting has been late because I think previous council was able to start like study session at 5:30, but we have never been able to do that. So,
Plus, we only have one
Okay.
council meeting in January. It's probably gonna be long.
or we can prepare this to, it could be before the council
We're not doing
meeting.
the second.
But usually we have closed session before council meeting is past year, so.
We're not doing the second.
Don't we have it on
So-
the sixth?
There is a closed session on the
Cancel.
20th.
It gets canceled, the first meeting in
Yeah.
January.
So, council member one, would you be in town on would 19 or 21 work? Let's just keep the date. Maybe we can merge.
19th is the holiday, Mayor.
Oh, right. Would
MLK.
21 work?
I will be in Switzerland, but I'll take
Oh.
it.
The Stavros?
How about,
But I'll take it.
27th?
27th.
20, oh, you said you would
I'll be
take
here.
it on the 21st.
I can take it if you want on 21st. I'll be here the 27th.
20th, the meeting on the 20th is probably gonna get moved to the 21st.
Oh,
It's right
27
first,
we
right?
likely have a commission interview. Yeah,
Oh,
Actually, there is no annual recruitment in 2026.
Oh, that helps.
no what?
There is no annual recruitment in 2026.
All the
Yeah.
positions.
Oh, we
the
do
cycle.
every 2 years
Yes.
now, I
Next one is
forgot.
27th.
Oh,
Staggered.
oh. Good.
Is that
We
something
fixed
exciting?
that.
Is that something exciting?
We
how about the
put-
26th or 27th?
26 is good.
26.
Monday is better than Tuesday.
o'clock.
6 o'clock.
I think so. 26,
Yeah.
7th is.
We're
better
just
for
pretty
me.
much gonna be hearing reports. It'll be
Mm.
super easy.
27, 26, 27.
Either the 26th or the 27th
Yeah.
is fine.
Mm,
Anyone.
Yeah.
So,
Pick one.
If,
pick one. So
27th.
27.
27,
Okay, let's do 27.
Thank you.
What time?
7, just kidding, 6:45.
You want earlier?
Want
Is
to do it during
that,
the
is
day?
that not a planning commission meeting night?
Oh,
Oh,
Twenty-
we'll be here,
I
right?
see it on my.
It's a Tuesday.
Yeah, planning
We'll be
commission
here.
meets on the second and fourth Tuesdays of
Yeah.
the month.
right.
Oh, so
And they
you want to
start
do-
at
Let's just
6:45,
do
right?
Monday then.
Unless we do it earlier.
Can we
5
do it
o'clock.
before the planning commission meeting?
Yeah, 5 o'clock.
You want that?
5:30.
I'm not here on the 26th.
What time is planning commission?
6:45.
45 too.
Mhm.
What do you want to do?
So we do 5:45? But then are we going to do it here or do we want to use?
You can do it here.
We do it here.
Yeah.
So we don't need that room. Okay, so 5:45
On January
on
27th.
27th.
January 27th.
Through the president, so if we're adjourning to a date certain, is that when
I
when the
don't,
meeting's adjourned, we say we're.
I don't think we want to adjourn to a date certain. Just
Okay.
adjourn in case we need to change it.
Good point.
We have learned through.
Yeah,
I'm not that certain.
it's just better to check the time now, but just in case. Change, okay. Yeah, so, okay, meeting adjourned.